In November 2024, a 58-year-old man stepped into a boxing ring against a 27-year-old professional fighter, 31 years younger, and he looked more physically capable than most men half his age walking around your gym right now. Mike Tyson's body at 58 revealed something the fitness industry really doesn't want to admit out loud, because it's genuinely bad for supplement sales. Most men over 40 aren't declining because of age, they're declining because of how they're training. All 6 things, in order, in detail. And here's what makes this actually useful instead of just impressive to watch. Tyson isn't hiding behind some mystery genetic advantage nobody else has access to. His comeback has been documented, discussed, and broken down publicly by his own team. Every piece of it maps directly onto decisions available to a regular man over 40, working a regular job with a regular amount of time to train. None of this required a Hollywood budget. It required 6 specific changes. Most men over 40 have quietly accepted a version of the story that says decline is simply mandatory past a certain age, that you're managing loss from here on out, not building anything new. Tyson's comeback is a direct public rebuttal of that story, played out in real time in front of a global audience. That's exactly why it's worth actually breaking down instead of just watching once and moving on. Before we break down all 6, if you're serious about training smarter after 40, instead of just training harder and hoping your body cooperates, subscribe right now. This is exactly the kind of breakdown this channel exists for. 1. What Tyson eliminated first. The training methods that were quietly destroying his joints over decades. Not the big dramatic stuff you'd expect from a boxer's story. It's the repetitive, high-impact patterns that add up silently, rep after rep, year after year, until one day your knees or your shoulders present you with the invoice all at once. He cut the movements that were pure wear and tear with almost no return on investment, and kept the ones that actually built something worth keeping. Think about what that actually means in practice. Swapping endless heavy bag rounds thrown at full force for shorter, technically sharper sessions. Fewer total impacts on the wrists, shoulders, and spine, but each one thrown with more purpose and better mechanics. This is the audit almost nobody over 40 actually sits down and does. Genuinely list every single exercise in your current routine, and ask honestly which ones are actually building you versus which ones are just leftover habits from a program you copied off someone half your age 3 years ago. Tyson did that audit, with a team helping him. Most men never do it at all. 2. The Cardio Overhaul. From pure road work, miles of running every single morning, the old-school boxing standard, to mixed conditioning that preserves muscle instead of quietly burning through it for fuel. Running for miles at 58 isn't toughness. It's a withdrawal from a muscle account you genuinely cannot afford to overdraw anymore. Short intervals, sled work, bag work. Conditioning that spikes your heart rate without spending the next 3 days recovering from the damage. The logic here is simple once you actually hear it explained properly. Long, slow, steady-state cardio at high volume starts cannibalizing muscle tissue for fuel once glycogen runs low, especially in a body already fighting hard to hold on to whatever muscle it has left. Short, intense bursts, followed by real, deliberate recovery, get your heart and lungs the exact same training effect without opening that particular tab at all. 3. The diet shift. From the extreme, almost punishing eating of his fighting prime, to precision nutrition built around actual recovery, not just making weight for one specific night under the lights. This is a mindset shift as much as it is a food shift. Eating to repair the body he actually has now, instead of eating to punish it into a temporary shape for a deadline that used to define everything. That means consistent meals instead of extreme swings. Enough total calories to actually support the training instead of chronic restriction, and protein prioritized at every single meal instead of treated as an afterthought squeezed in when convenient. Starvation and discipline are not the same thing, no matter how many old-school boxing gyms still act like they are and hand out that advice like gospel. A body trying to recover from a genuinely hard session, while simultaneously trying to survive on too few calories, is fighting itself on 2 fronts at once. Tyson's comeback nutrition reportedly leaned toward eating enough to actually fuel the work, which, ironically, is the exact opposite of what most men over 40 assume they need to do the moment they decide to get back in shape. This next part is honestly the actual difference maker. If you want the full weekly structure behind all of this, subscribe so you catch the next video, and drop your age in the comments below. I genuinely want to know who's out there actually applying this. 4. The recovery upgrade. What a 58-year-old body needs that a 22-year-old body simply doesn't. More time between hard sessions. More deliberate, planned rest days that aren't just, "I'm too tired today," decided last minute. Recovery modalities, treated with the same seriousness as the actual training sessions. Here's the part most men miss entirely. Recovery isn't the absence of training. It's where the actual adaptation happens. You don't get stronger during the workout itself. You get stronger in the 48 hours after it, if you actually give your body what it needs to rebuild properly. Skip that step consistently, and you're just accumulating fatigue with nothing real to show for it. Part of Tyson's reported comeback prep leaned heavily on sleep quality, hydration, and genuinely reducing outside stress. The things that never make it into a highlight clip. Nobody films a man sleeping 8 hours. Everybody films the knockout, but the knockout doesn't happen without the sleep underneath it. A 45-minute training session gets all the attention because it's visible, filmable, and easy to turn into content. The other 23 hours of the day quietly determine whether that 45 minutes actually turns into anything. Tyson's team clearly understood that math. 5. The mental approach shift. Training for longevity, not for destruction. Two completely different goals that happen to use a lot of the same equipment and look nearly identical from the outside. One is trying to survive the next 10 years of training. The other is trying to survive one more fight. Tyson finally started training like a man planning to still be doing this at 70, not just chasing one more headline. That shift changes every single decision along the way. How hard you actually push a set, whether you train straight through a nagging ache or stop to address it properly. Destruction mode training makes for a great highlight reel. Longevity mode training makes for an actual life you get to keep living in your body. There's also a quieter psychological piece here worth naming directly. A man training for destruction is, in some sense, always racing a clock he expects to run out. A man training for longevity is building a relationship with his own body that he expects to keep for decades. Those two mindsets produce noticeably different training decisions on the exact same day, in the exact same gym, doing what looks like the exact same workout from the outside. 6. The proof point. What his body was actually capable of at 58, statistically, by every normal expectation, it should not have been possible. That's the previous 5 things on this list, compounded quietly over years of consistent decisions, showing up on one specific night in front of the entire world watching. Nobody watching that fight was seeing one night of preparation. They were seeing the compound interest of 5 specific decisions, repeated consistently for years before that night ever happened. That's the part the highlight clips never show you. Tyson at 58 isn't an anomaly. He's a data point. And the data says the exact same thing every single time it's tested. Men over 40 who change how they train don't decline, they evolve. So the real question isn't whether it's possible anymore. Tyson already answered that one publicly on live television at 58 years old. The real question is which of these 6 things you're actually willing to change, starting this week, instead of just nodding along and closing the app.